I think the worst advice my dad would have given me, I might not be able to say. I don't know if it's a bad advice. I just kind of
thinking some of them were not bad advice.
So now for our new segment we have introduced for Let's Talk Business 2.0 is rapid questions. So I'll start with you, Mr. Jitu sir. I hope you're ready with the questions I'm going to ask. It's going to be a bit personal, fun for the viewers to know more about you. So my first question is, like, we have noticed your father's journey from the real estate broker end to developer. During that journey, what were the key learnings you took from your father?
So I think the biggest thing my father taught me is on the principles of doing business, and integrity level to keep the customer first. And I think that was very key. I mean, going forward, I realized that, just as yesterday, actually, I emailed one of the somebody apologizing for something which happened, but though it was, I don't think it was relevant, but I think as a customer, it makes them feel much more comfortable. And my father was always principled that if any project got stuck, you return people's money with interest. The customer mustn't lose. So I think the key thing was my dad was philosophy of integrity and his honesty of doing business was, for me, that was the hero worship I would take from him.
So you had mentioned in one of your interviews that in 1996 there was a real estate crash and there was a bit setback that you had gone through. So what was the learning you got from that particular setback and which you still follow now?
So that it was actually more related to financial management. The first time in '96 the market crashed, and but unfortunately, not only crashed, we were financially okay, but we also had a family split. So at that point of time, we were cash rich, and to show your honesty, integrity, I actually returned people's money, investments with some sort of return back, which actually, if at that point of time I had kept that money and actually spent them on the developments, built them and sold and paid off, it would have been much easier for everybody. Right? Though the market had crashed, so we were in a good space even when the market had crashed. And of course, unfortunately there was a family fight, between my brother, father, and me, and them being on one side and me being on one side. So I had to, go through from '96 December till '99 Jan, and we started back again on a minus thing. So I started in '93 and rebuilt it again from 9th January 1999. We built a company which was in red. And then by 2002, I think we were again in black and built it from there.
Okay. So what are the basic principles of business that you follow and what advice would you give to the young generation to follow the same?
So, to me, first, mainly is, the main key thing is to believe in yourself, And I think the mind is such a strong thing that once you believe in yourself, it's easy to achieve what you've stepped out for. And transparency. These are two things which takes you a long way. So even if you go through hard times, and if you're transparent, actually, I think 97% people try to help you to come back again if you're transparent.
True. So there's a saying, behind every successful man, there's a woman. And there's also a saying that behind every successful businessman, there's a few loyal people in his life. So would you agree with that saying, and do you have those few loyal people that you would like to name?
So I would agree completely that, behind every successful man, there's a team. Without a team, the man is zero. And I've been fortunate to have this team of people with me for a long time. And even some people who retired or moved out, the team has, from I don't know where, but good people just keep coming into the organization. And that's the key success. And honestly, I can proudly say that even before the current Aditya came into the business, I actually started looking for younger people, who would adapt to their style. And I know because when I came into my company, I tried to bring in some new changes. And, like Aditya mentioned earlier also, that his kids might come and bring some changes. So, and to find people, and, it's all about people.
So loyalty does matter.
I don't think there's a woman behind a successful man. There's only a team behind.
Okay. So the current book that you're reading, and why would you recommend that?
Oh, it's a book actually. Honestly, I mean, I used to read a lot, but from this age of Netflix and all these things, reading has just gone out of the window. And every time I read it, and I think that on my free time, I rather watch TV or I'm working most of the time. But actually, my kids gave me a book recently, which I'm reading, and I'm really enjoying it. And it's called Psychology of Money.
Yeah, it's great.
But it's a really nice book.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been reading. I'm like, I've covered like about 95 pages out of the 240. But I find that quite a bit of it is that I'm following, and some of it needs my change.
So, what is the biggest deal that you have done in 2022? Business deal?
Actually, the tech village sale.
Yeah.
Somewhere there.
This year that was last year with golf links.
So we did a bunch of it. Actually, COVID has been a good period for Embassy. We managed to sell a lot of deals, put in it. But honestly, we're so passionate about our business. Every time we've got a new deal coming in. I think the thing of doing the merger is a good move. Now recently in the COVID, we're doing another park, IT Park of North, which is a good kind of this thing. I don't think that most of our deals have been good deals actually.
That's
it's very rarely I think we made a bad call on any deal.
That's great.
I mean, people look at us as a very aggressive company and risk taker, but I think it's not. It's the other way around. Just because we think out of the box, people feel that it's risk taking. But even thinking out of the box has a math to it. WeWork would have probably been one place where our recovery was slower because COVID came and the WeWork globally went. WeWork became a bad name as a loss making, and unfortunately, Karan had a bad time raising money, banks giving him money, so we ended up putting a lot of money. But on the hindsight now, today, it's in 5 years, it's a huge platform we built. It's got a huge amount team of people, so that it can project to and get the same valuation as Embassy or in the same way. So we already have now a second engine which is there to take to make money and take the valuation up, and now it's doing well once come out of COVID. And of course, it got him very seasoned, so it made him from a boy to a man in 5 years. And then, fortunately for Aditya, because we didn't want to disturb Karan from WeWork, and then the whole of Embassy Group came into his hands, and then he got an opportunity to look at all different verticals and look at the business from a completely different perspective. So. He's doing residential, commercial, hotels, everything together. So I think it kind of, this whole 3-4 years has played out well for the family and for the group, because once the next generation has so much experience in a shorter time, the future is much better.
So I've noticed you have answer for every question is a calculated move, the good mathematics behind it. So is it true that Sindhi community are very huge when it comes to business? They are always successful?
So I think because it's, I think there's that saying, keep the eyes on the pennies, the pound will come.
Yeah.
And so we just went to this school library this morning, and I know that it cost us 6.5 crores to build a library. And there's a lady who does admission, her name is Rishika, and I asked Rishika, I said, Rishika, so what's the score like normally? Because she tells me how many students are there, I know how much surplus money we are making, and then I knew the previous number, so I asked her, I need more students. She said, I got 50 students joining in February. So I know it's 50 students, it's 10 crores, so 6.5 crores, library is free, 3.5 crores is operational cost of these 50 kids. So okay, now library building is free, So it's how you correlate numbers to whatever it is. If you're just habituated by that, it's easy,
So what would be?
But we believe that you must spend part of your capital. So you make some extra profit, okay, you spend some part of it. And I think being in this business for so long, looking at downside and not having any attachment to sell anything.
Yeah.
So that's the key also actually. Basically I think that one should have attachment with their family and money, and rest is, if the price is good, everything is for sale. So I know this is going to go on TV, but if somebody came and offered a crazy price for the embassy, I just would need to put Karan and Aditya in one room.
So as you said, your business has been there for too long and you have seen the ups and downs. So what would be the key mantra to succeed in life?
okay, I still improve on my cash flow planning, but keep more money away. I used to know an old gentleman called Mr. Baksani, and he always told me that every dollar you earn, you must keep 25 cents in a fixed deposit.
That's a good advice.
And I thought, but at that time, you're growing, your capital hungry, you need. But I think now Embassy's come at a stage where we can start doing this, and that's how we had all these different verticals: the school, the project management companies, these are all cash-rich companies. So they always have cash with them, and that's one objective of doing it. And that's how we're growing our school vertical also, because it takes care. But just basically planning out, your fixed costs, your running homes. I have 4 kids, 3 of them are boys. So today you're spending X amount of money, though the company grows. Now your expenses also grow 4 times. So actually you have to make 4 times more money to live the same lifestyle. So you have to keep on constantly keeping an eye, then just becoming complacent. And luckily for me, 2 of them are really engaged in the business and doing a good job. And also I'm proud that they're not known as Jitu Virwani's sons, they're known by Aditya Virwani and Kritika Virwani. And I have one daughter, but she's not so keen on pursuing business much. But my younger son I think he's got 2 more years, but he's raring to come and work in the group. So I think we have a good second line in the business, which is important.
So I'm sure you have been inspired by your father at an early stage, but now who would you consider apart from your father as your role model, and why?
So I had a mentor called Anand Sanghvi, he passed away. So between my dad and him, there are 2 styles over there, and I look at it. But presently, honestly, or maybe it's just that I've got so occupied in teaching my kids how to do everything. So I'm actually right now spending more time looking at what mistakes I made and what should be corrected, and moved and handed over to them, so they don't make the same mistakes. So we have this whole idea of an executive board which takes decisions. And of course, I want them to make new mistakes because they learn from that. But the whole style of what I could have done differently. So in more or less now, I'm actually more doing a retrospective in my own things what I've done and which could have been done in a better way, so they can experience from that. So give you an example, like in 22 years we are building office parks. And we kept collecting office parks to put it in a REIT, because from 2007 we wanted to do a REIT with Maple Tree. Then the REIT regulations didn't come in India. We were planning to do it in Singapore. Then Blackstone came in. Our way of doing business, our corporate governance, everything got changed a little bit differently. We learned a lot from Blackstone and did the Embassy REIT. But now going forward, I realized that if in every park we actually sold the first 1 million square feet of office and not get attached to that office building, we will be financially much stronger. So we keep adapting different things. If I look back at WeWork, we would have done it differently than putting so much capital behind it, because it was emotional, because it was my older son, and I also didn't want to make sure he fails. So we just kept putting money, and the parent company was going through financial difficulty or tightness. So these are things now to be more dispassionate, though I used to say I'm dispassionate, but then when I realized that suddenly when it comes to my personal things, I became a little passionate. So right now, everything what we've done wrong, we're trying to not do it again. But I just want them to make new mistakes too.
That's a great way to learn also.
Yeah.
So last but not the least, I want to know the 3 favorite dishes of Sindhi dishes of yours.
So you have this koki, which I love, but I'm not eating nowadays because of this stupidity of I don't want to eat gluten and blah blah blah.
Okay.
So now actually, my mom she lives in the city, and I'm we eat her quite often, and she makes this naram khichdi, with the curd, which I love, and the Sindhi curry, of course.
Thank you so much, Jitu sir. Now we'll start the rapid questions with Aditya.
Yeah.
So which is the current book that you are also reading, and why would you recommend it?
So I'm reading 0 to 1, which is quite a popular book, and it's a very good business-related book. How to approach a business, what are things to keep in mind, lessons on Peter Thiel.
Yeah.
It's a really good book, especially if you're in a business setting. You can relate to a lot of different chapters in there.
And what is the best advice that you have received from your mentor, and also the worst advice?
I think the best advice is probably, from my dad, who is my mentor. is to be positive. I think the worst advice my dad would have given me, I might not be able to say here, but I don't know if it's a bad advice. I just kind of
thinking some of them were not bad advice.
I think maybe and I'm kind of contradicting myself here. Is don't worry, like don't stress about it, like push it under the rug. I think while at that moment, it might be best for your mind. I think you do need to be on top of things and finish the problem. So I think I don't know if I just contradicted myself.
No, but that happens because I feel I'm there to watch it, right? So that then I think okay, you don't worry about it, you do your thing, then I'll take care of it.
Yeah, but then sometimes I think no, I do actually want to fix this issue, and I don't want to leave it to him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like a dad thing which you think that okay, let him just grow a little more, a little bit, and then give it up. But yes,
So the 4 years that you spent in San Francisco, what were the key learnings that you still hold dear to?
I think when as soon as you said that, I think the worst advice that anyone can ever give is to focus on education and do well and try to get into an Ivy League and blah blah blah. I'm so against that. I think it's such a backwards philosophy. So I think that education for me, the things I learned when I lived abroad and I lived in the UK before that, is more how to build relationships with people, how to live with people, how to live independently, how to be happy in tough moments. I think those are the biggest learnings from my university life and just living outside from home. Then the certain subjects that I learned, or leadership skills or conferences. I think it's more people skills that I learned.
Which is helping you right now also.
Which is, game changer when I look at me and when I look at some of my peers or some of the people I grew up with. I think that is really a key difference of what I think at least keeps me apart from others.
So if you wouldn't have chosen real estate sector for your career, which other sector you would have built your career in?
I think about that a lot because I knew at a very early age that I'm going to join the family business, and real estate's been engraved in us very early on. But I think it could be around fitness, it could be around food, nutrition. I'm pretty passionate about food and cooking and fitness as well. I do box a little bit, so I think somewhere around that aspect. Of course, if money wasn't an issue and I could enjoy those aspects and not be so motivated by money. But unfortunately, I'm a Sindhi boy and I'm in a hardcore real estate business and family, so I've taken this path.
He wanted to be an actor.
Really?
At a phase of my point,
he wanted to be an actor.
Well, I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be a stuntman, I wanted to be into hospitality, looking at movies. But I think those are early aspirations. When I hit 14, 15, I kind of knew what I was going to want to do, which is the family business.
What was your reaction to that when you?
He was encouraged. He went to Bombay for 3 months, stayed in a friend's place, training.
You did acting and training?
Yeah.
I did drama, and even when I went to the UK, I still continued to do drama. I like drama. I think I'm a pretty extrovert person, and I think that's also impacted my personality a lot. So I actually look back and I love that I went down that path.
It might have helped you with your confidence, and even as you said, people skill definitely does help.
Yeah, confidence, exactly.
So your go-to stress buster would be like in day-to-day life. There's so much you're taking care of Embassy Office Park. So what is the go-to stress buster for you?
I like a good workout. I like on the weekends to get that workout in, even if it's waking up a bit early, compromising on a bit of sleep. And just chilling out, grabbing good food, switching off, whether it's watching TV. I'm 28, but it's still playing a little bit of video games as now and then. I think those are just basic things that get you happy inside. Traveling, of course, and finding good spots.
So I think that's pretty much in the family. I think it goes.
And it's consistent.
All of us, they just want to watch TV and just relax and
Yeah.
So most expensive purchase or investment you have done this year?
This year.
And this is personal. This is not related to your business.
Probably nothing.
Yeah.
Expensive. Other than not buying anything expensive.
No, I mean, I'm not a very materialistic person. I'm not mad about cars. I like watches, but I'm not going to go out there and look for a really fancy watch. Travel, probably I've invested. I've learned that, I gotta, time is the only currency that you really have. And I think you gotta enjoy it. So luxury travel in terms of a business class flight, nice hotels, nice food when you're out there, really just spoil yourself. I think those are investments in yourself. But if I had to be honest, the largest investments is, when Ukraine hit and the market crashed, I probably put in a bit of my savings into the market. So yeah, and blue chip, safe stocks,
So if you have to choose between, for investment, it's no advice for the viewers, just a thing you need to pick between cryptocurrency or between, of course, the real estate investment, what would you choose?
Well, of course, real estate, it's safer, but I invested in cryptocurrency very early on, so I hit it pretty big, but it was gambling. I didn't know anything about it. I bought Bitcoin when it was $300. Today it's like $20,000. So it has been a close to my heart, crypto. But since then I haven't invested, and I'm just watching the market, and I still don't really fully understand that, to be honest. But real estate is in my blood. I understand it. It's very safe, predictable. I think it's always going to be a great investment. You always want a roof over your head or a place to work. So especially if you're starting from the development stage, it's just juicier, right? I think when you're buying an apartment and you see the appreciation, to be completely honest, guys, the stock market has always outperformed that. So if you're buying it for your own use, it's great. But if you're investing in real estate from development, land, building, and then you see your returns compounding year on year, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I would say real estate any day of the week.
So the personal goals for 2022 that you must have thought about to achieve and you have achieved, what were those?
I think just enjoy the good times and the bad times. The times that are stressful and the times that are not so fun, but enjoy it, because someone told me, someone who's a lot older is, when you actually look back at things, there's so much you regret because you're in the moment trying to get the next best thing, and you really have to think about that and realize that time is the only currency. Like I'm grown up with wealth and I have everything I want, and there's nothing really I want to go out there and buy. Of course, eventually I want a nice house to myself, but other than that, there's nothing like one car, one watch, or something materialistic. So it's really just the time that you have that you enjoy. So even though you have those bad moments, I think to go back to your house, go back to your bed and reminisce the day and enjoy the day, and even the moment, I think that's a key thing that it's easier said than done, but it's something that I'm going to keep focusing on and make sure that I'm just happy throughout and enjoy this beautiful life.
So apart, of course, from your father, who's your role model, and like if you had to name, and why is he your role model?
I honestly don't have one, and when people ask me this question, I say my father, because I've worked with him and I do like what he's done, and I want to follow a similar path, but I don't have a role model. I get fascinated by sports personalities quite a lot, and I kind of go down this YouTube hole of watching interviews of them and their mentality, because it's really a winning mentality, right? And it goes back to what I was talking about, being positive, the law of attraction, of envisioning things and them happening. So anyone who has that and has a little bit of charisma, I do take a liking to them. But I'll lie to you, say that it's Elon Musk or Steve Jobs and stuff. They're things that I pick from them. I love his Elon's work ethic. But that I wouldn't say that he is my role model and he is someone I want to be exactly like. A little bit of an oddball, if you have to be honest. So kind of take different attributes from different people, put them together and try to create yourself from that. So I don't know if I want to replicate myself to another successful person.
So what would be the advice from your end to the young generation who are still planning to enter in the real estate, as their career option?
In real estate specifically, I would say it's, you have to be clear with what you want to do, because real estate sounds nice. It sounds great to be like, okay, I want to get into office and do what Embassy's done. It's not that easy. A lot of that hard work that happened the last 30-35 years, we're building on it now. We're now seeing ability to do build-to-suits, large build-to-suits for clients like JP Morgan, for Wells Fargo, for Philips. I don't think anyone can do that. So I think you have to recognize reality. I think you have to be pretty realistic. You have to approach it step by step, start slow. I think the residential sector is probably easier sector to enter in. Also from a cash flow point of view, you can rely on sales. And you can build your brand slowly from there. But it's such a deep sector that I do think anyone can enter that sector without cannibalizing or without stepping on anyone else's toes. But you'd have to be a bit calculated on how you approach it. It's all financial modeling, but also keeping in mind that because you're dealing with land approvals, anything can happen. COVID can happen, and all your laborers can go back up north, and you won't have, So if you're trying to work on an Excel sheet and be, like a financial analyst, it's not going to work. There's a little bit of pulse needed. You got to actually feel the market. You got to know where the growth is happening, why the growth is happening, and then take a calculated call on that. But start slow, start steady. If you don't have a family business and a legacy to back you, and be disciplined with your cash flow. I think that's key. If you're able to execute on time, deliver good product, even if the quality is not phenomenal, I think it will sell, and you will build that trust and that rapport, and that can snowball.
Great advice. And lastly, I want to ask from both of you. Embassy is well-known brand, but if you have to name another real estate developer whom you admire, whose journey you have admired, who it would be? I'm asking to both of you.
Yeah,
Prestige.
Prestige.
Yeah, I don't know Mr. Irfan's story so much, but he's doing phenomenal, and I respect it a lot. I would personally say John Gray from Blackstone, someone who I've been very fascinated about, and I've seen his growth from the inception of.
You asked real estate in the country.
Real estate, in India, I haven't asked specifically in India, but yeah, if you have to name, now sir has mentioned it, specifically in India, then who it would be?
If it was someone in India, and again, I don't know a whole lot about this person, haven't followed his story, but I would say Abhishek Lodha, because I see similarities in, he joined a family legacy, took over that, took it to another level. He's obviously many years ahead of me, but he's done phenomenally well in his niche in Mumbai and luxury. So I think he's a pretty interesting person who I do look up to, yeah.